Okay class, let me continue about function. So in last video we have talked about function. Function means block of code, and function is having three things. That is, definition of function means original block of code. Then as and when we require that block of code, we are calling the function. The second thing is calling of the function, and third one is we should inform compiler that which function we are using or which function we are creating in our program. Okay, inform compiler is as good as we are declaring a variable. Okay, and that is why it is called a declaration of function. Okay, so there are three things: declaration of function, calling of function, and definition of function. Right? Now, next thing, how can I create function? I mean, how can I write a function? So again, there are 3 points that we will remember, and the 3 points are, while we are creating a function, we will use return type. Okay, that is, I am going to explain. First is a return type, second is a function name, okay, and third one is argument list. Third one is argument list. Okay, so while we are creating a function, I mean we are calling a function, we are writing a definition of function, or we are declaring function, at that time there are three things which are important regarding function. One is a return type, second is a function name, and third one is an argument list. Now we will learn about each and everything. First of all, let me talk about a function name. Now, function name means any name whatever you want to give to your function. It is as good as a name of variable. Okay, we used to create a variable in C++ program. So while we want to find sum, then we are creating a sum variable. While we are finding like subtraction, then we are creating subtraction or sub variable, right? So same way, a function name is any name whatever you want to give to your function. Okay, so make sure, suppose I want to create a find sum, then I'll create function called find sum. It is following the same rules, whatever the rules for the name of variable, means I cannot give space like find sum. This is not valid because space is not allowed in function name, and but I can use underscore sign, right? So we will give a valid function name. Make sure that it should be like a relevant name of the function, because whatever task you want to perform in your function, use that name. And if more than one words if you want to use underscore sign, so that will be work for you. And if you want to use a digit in a function name, then it should be in between or at the end position, but function name cannot start with digit. Okay, so for example, here I want to create a function called find sum, then this is name of my function. Okay, now about argument list, that we will discuss later on. Okay, once we will start writing programs, and we'll talk about argument list in depth. And next is the return type. Okay, return type, that is again I am going to explain while we are going to write a program, but right now I will say that our function is going to return something. So if my function is returning something, then that should be my return type. Okay, so if my function is returning int value, I'll write int. If my function is returning float value, I'll write float. If my function returns character, I will write character. But if my function does not returns anything, then I will write void. Okay, so depends what your function is going to return. Now, how my function can return, we'll discuss while we will write program. Okay, right now through this video, we are going to learn three things. That is, function have it's a return type, Its function has its name and function has its argument list. It can be one argument, it can be multiple argument, but there are three things related with the function. Okay. Now we'll talk about it in depth while we'll write program. Okay, but what we should remember, there are 3 plus 3, 6 things relevant with the function. 3 things are declaration, calling, and definition of function. And next 3 things are return type, function name, and argument list of function. Okay, so there are 6 things related with the function. We'll continue in next video. Thank you.